Good morning slash afternoon slash evening, everyone. Have you ever felt stuck in self doubt, unsure of your abilities, or paralyzed by fear right when it matters most? If so, you're not alone. And today, I want to introduce you to a powerful mental strategy that can break those chains and unlock your highest potential, the alter ego effect. This concept, popularized by Todd Herman, is based on a simple truth. Sometimes the best way to become your best self is to step outside yourself. Instead of waiting to feel confident or courageous, we can borrow the traits of a character who already embodies those qualities. From elite athletes to successful entrepreneurs, many high performers use alter egos to activate their inner champions. Vance had Sasha Fierce. Kobe Bryant had the Black Mamba. These aren't gimmicks, they're tools of transformation. Your alter ego isn't fake. It's a version of you free from doubt, trauma, or limiting beliefs. It's who you are when nothing holds you back. So, whether you're facing a big presentation, trying to lead with strength, or just need to conquer that inner critic, maybe it's time to ask, who would you become if nothing stood in your way? One of the most powerful and often misunderstood ideas at the heart of the alter ego effect is that creating and using an alter ego is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about unlocking a version of yourself that already exists but has been held back. Todd Herman emphasizes that alter egos are not about deception or putting on a false front. Rather, they are strategic tools designed to help you overcome inner resistance, self doubt, and emotional baggage that often get in the way of performance and growth. Think of an alter ego as a lens or a mental framework that allows you to bypass the psychological roadblocks that have been conditioned into you from early childhood messages to traumatic failures and negative self-talk. Many people live their lives feeling trapped by the story they've told themselves. I'm not confident, I'm bad at public speaking, or I'm not a leader. These narratives become limiting identities. The alter ego gives you permission to temporarily step outside of those identities and into a persona that is capable, bold, and effective in the arena that matters most. Herman calls this the secret weapon of elite performers, from athletes and entertainers to CEO and military leaders. These individuals aren't faking confidence or courage. They're leveraging the power of intentional identity to bring forward specific traits that help them rise to the occasion. When someone steps into their alter ego, they are not becoming someone else. They are accessing a version of themselves that isn't weighed down by fear or past failure. It's a way to disconnect from the story that holds them back and reconnect with the strength, focus, and excellence that already lives within them. This is a key distinction. A mask hides, but an alter ego reveals. It reveals the part of you that's been waiting for a safe space to come forward, the heroic self that can handle pressure, speak with clarity, lead with certainty, or perform with intensity. It's not about escaping reality. It's about reauthoring your internal reality so you can show up in the external world as your highest self. By embracing this tool, people stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start embodying the version of themselves who simply says, "This is what I do." Creating an effective alter ego begins with intentional design. This is not a vague daydream or imaginary friend. It's a deliberately crafted identity built to embody the qualities, mindset, and emotional strength you need in a specific field of play. Todd Herman stresses that the more vivid, detailed, and emotionally resonant your alter ego is, the more powerful it becomes as a performance tool. The process starts with identifying the traits you feel are missing or suppressed in your current self, not because you lack them entirely, but because they may be blocked by fear, doubt, or conditioning. For example, if you often find yourself hesitating during business negotiations, you may need an alter ego who is assertive, persuasive, and calm under pressure. Or if you're an artist struggling with imposter syndrome, your alter ego might embody fearless creativity and bold self-expression. Once those traits are identified, you give your alter ego a name, a personality, a backstory, if needed, even a visual representation. The more specific, the better. Some people imagine a well-known figure like a superhero, athlete, or historical icon. Others create a fictional character completely from scratch. What matters most is that the identity resonates with you and feels emotionally powerful. It should feel like a character you trust, a persona you can step into when needed. This identity becomes a container for confidence and competence. For instance, if your alter ego is based on someone like James Bond, it may carry qualities like charm, composure, and calculated control. You can think to yourself, what would Bond do in this situation? And then act accordingly. The goal is not imitation, it's internalization. You adopt the mental and emotional patterns of the persona to activate your highest capabilities in real time. Herman also notes the importance of aligning your alter ego with your values and your purpose. This isn't about escaping who you are, it's about creating a focused version of yourself for specific moments. Just as a soldier puts on a uniform or an actor steps into costume, the alter ego is a role one that helps you rise to the occasion. And over time, as you repeatedly embody this identity in the face of challenge, the traits you once borrowed begin to feel natural and truly yours. By clearly defining the identity of your alter ego, its characteristics, tone, style, even posture, you create a mental anchor that your brain can easily access. This makes the transition from hesitation to action faster, smoother, and more reliable, especially in high-stakes environments where your default self might otherwise falter. One of the most fascinating and scientifically grounded aspects of the alter ego effect is the concept of enclothed cognition, the idea that what we wear or the objects we associate with certain traits can significantly influence our thoughts, behaviors, and performance. Todd Herman incorporates this principle into the alter ego strategy by encouraging the use of totems, physical items that help activate the mindset and emotional state of the alter ego. Enclothed cognition isn't just a catchy phrase, it's backed by psychological research. In one study, participants who wore white lab coats they believed belonged to doctors performed better on attention-related tasks than those who wore street clothes or lab coats described as painters' smocks. The key insight: the symbolic meaning we assign to clothing and objects can change the way we think and act. When applied intentionally, this becomes a powerful performance enhancer. Herman builds on this idea by suggesting that you choose a symbolic item, a pair of glasses, a ring, a jacket, a wristband, or even a certain pair of shoes that represents your alter ego. This item serves as more than a prop, it becomes a trigger. When you put it on or interact with it, you're not just changing your appearance, you're signaling to your brain, now I'm stepping into my heroic self. The power of this lies in its simplicity and consistency. Repeated exposure to this item in a specific performance context creates an automatic association in your subconscious. Over time, your brain begins to connect the item with confidence, focus, courage, or whatever qualities your alter ego represents. It becomes easier and faster to access the emotional and mental state you need, almost like flipping a switch. Many high performers use this without even realizing it. Athletes who wear a specific headband before a game, performers who always rehearse in a certain outfit, or speakers who wear their power glasses, these aren't just rituals. They're deeply embedded psychological tools that trigger a shift in identity and capability. Herman's clients, from Olympic athletes to Fortune 500 executives, often report that their totem becomes a sacred part of their preparation. It provides a tactile, physical action they can rely on, especially when stress, anxiety, or imposter syndrome begins to creep in. In the chaos of a high-pressure environment, that one small action, putting on a totem, can recenter the mind and reactivate the traits needed to perform at the highest level. Importantly, Herman clarifies that this isn't about superstition. The totem doesn't cause success, Instead, it serves as a bridge connecting you to your carefully crafted alter ego and allowing your subconscious mind to step into a different reality, one where fear is secondary and purpose takes the lead. The ritual of activating the alter ego through enclothed cognition gives you control over your inner state, regardless of what's happening around you. One of the most crucial insights in the alter ego effect is that the greatest battles we face don't occur in the outside world, they take place internally. Todd Herman introduces the concept of the field of play, a term he uses to describe the specific environment or context in which you're trying to perform at a higher level. It could be the office boardroom, a basketball court, a stage, a classroom, or even a conversation with your partner. Wherever performance, presence, or pressure is required, that's your field of play. But the real enemy on that field isn't always external, it's often the inner critic. This is the voice in your head that second-guesses your ideas, questions your worth, anticipates failure, and magnifies your flaws. It doesn't shout, it whispers just enough doubt to make you hesitate, shrink back, or self-sabotage. It thrives in moments of uncertainty and risk. Herman describes it as a persistent and cunning adversary that's deeply rooted in past experiences, childhood programming, emotional wounds, and cultural conditioning. And this is where the alter ego becomes essential. The alter ego is a psychological shield that you take with you onto the field of play. It's not just a performance enhancer, it's a defense mechanism against the toxic narratives that try to derail your focus, courage, and creativity. It acts as a boundary between your real, vulnerable self and the challenges or emotional threats you face in your environment. Think of it this way. When you're about to step into a high-stakes situation, your real self full of past hurts, memories of failure, or fear of judgment may freeze. But your alter ego, constructed to thrive in this very environment, doesn't carry that emotional weight. It has one job: to execute with clarity, strength, and purpose. It sees the inner critic for what it is: noise, and simply ignores it. This becomes especially important when your field of play involves scrutiny or competition. The higher the stakes, the louder the inner critic tends to become. But by activating your alter ego, especially through totems, visualization, and a clearly defined identity, you effectively override the self-sabotaging mechanisms that would otherwise dominate your thinking. Herman also draws a clear distinction between the core self and the performance self. He's not advocating for living in your alter ego full-time. Instead, the alter ego is reserved for specific moments where your core self needs protection and your goals demand focused execution. It's a tool used with precision, only when needed and with full awareness. This strategic deployment ensures that your real identity isn't always exposed to the friction and failure that can occur in high-pressure zones. By using an alter ego as a psychological ally, you reclaim control over the mental environment you step into. You are no longer at the mercy of negative self-talk, old beliefs, or fear-based responses. You approach the field of play as the warrior, the artist, the leader, not the wounded child or the cautious doubter. And over time, the field that once intimidated you becomes familiar terrain because you've trained your mind to show up differently through a persona that's built to win. One of the most profound and often overlooked ideas in the alter ego effect is that the ultimate purpose of creating and using an alter ego is not to run away from who you are, it's to return to who you truly are at your core. Todd Herman makes it clear that this method is not a psychological trick meant to help you avoid responsibility, ignore personal flaws, or fake your way through life. Instead, it's a pathway to transformation, a bridge that helps you integrate the best version of yourself into your everyday identity. Many people assume that an alter ego is a form of denial, a costume you wear to avoid facing reality. But Herman flips that assumption. He argues that the alter ego is actually a deliberate construction, designed not to obscure your true self, but to reveal and amplify it in places where fear, trauma, or conditioning have caused you to shrink. It's a means of bypassing the mental barriers that have been erected over time. Stories like "I'm not good enough," "I don't belong here," or I always mess this up. The alter ego isn't a lie, it's the truth without interference. Over time, as you continue to activate your alter ego in specific environments, something powerful begins to happen. The gap between your alter ego self and your real self begins to close. The confidence you once borrowed from your persona starts to feel natural. The focus and decisiveness you once only displayed in your alter ego state start to show up in other areas of your life, even when you're not consciously wearing the mask. This is the integration phase, and it's a key part of what makes this technique not only sustainable, but deeply transformational. Herman calls this the process of internalizing the traits. Think of it like building muscle. You don't lift a weight once and expect permanent strength. You repeat the motion day after day until the body adapts and the strength becomes yours. The alter ego is like psychological resistance training. You use it repeatedly in high pressure situations until the mindset, behaviors, and emotional resilience it provides become automatic. Eventually, you stop needing to step into it because you've become it. This concept of integration also helps resolve the identity conflict that can arise when people feel like they're being fake. Herman reminds us that we all play roles every day: parent, professional, friend, leader, and that doesn't make us inauthentic. What matters is intention. When the alter ego is used intentionally, with clarity and integrity, it becomes an extension of you rather than a separation from you. It helps you live more fully, not hide more deeply. What began as a character you imagined and stepped into becomes a version of you that no longer needs to be imagined because it now lives within you. The boundaries between who you thought you were and who you're becoming dissolve. The alter ego, rather than being a mask you remove, becomes a mirror one that reflects the potential you've always had, but perhaps didn't believe you could access on your own. Through consistent use and conscious integration, the qualities you once had to put on begin to feel like second nature. You stop borrowing courage and start embodying it. You stop copying confidence and begin radiating it. The alter ego may begin as a temporary identity, but over time, it evolves into the very person you were always meant to become. So, in a world that constantly tries to define us by our past, our fears, or our failures, the alter ego effect gives us a bold alternative: to define ourselves by who we choose to become. You don't need to wait until you feel confident. You don't have to be perfect to take action. You simply need to activate the version of you that's already capable, the one that's been there all along, waiting for permission to step forward. Whether your field of play is the boardroom, the classroom, the arena, or simply your own life, the choice is yours. Will you let your inner critic take the lead, or will you summon your alter ego and meet the moment with purpose and power? Because greatness isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you step into.